Great. Hi, hello everyone. This is Sarang Brahme here, and I'm here with the first episode of Humans Behind HR. Typically, you will recognize about HR department through things like appraisals, through Rangoli competitions, through promotions and all of that. And in a lot of cases, what we miss out is really the humans and the people who are driving factors behind HR. I mean, in the pandemic, where I think HR literally has got a seat at the front seat in the table. I thought it's important to bring out some of the people who are in this seat, and who are these humans behind human resources. What's their journey like? What are the learnings that other HR professionals can take? And again, these are people who might be hidden gems, who are people who are not in the limelight but doing some amazing work in their career, in their profession. So that's what all about this humans behind HR is. It will be a monthly show. I will interview some of the amazing HR professionals or recruitment professionals in this manner for once every month, and help you to bring out their story, their learnings, and how obviously we can build and connect with each other. So that's going to be the humans behind HR. It's going to be informal conversations. It's going to be free flow, spontaneous, some fun as well. So in that case, without any further ado, I do want to introduce the guest for the first ever Humans Behind HR episode. I would like to welcome Achyut Menon. Now, again, a lot of you would know him. He's not, you don't need a special introduction. But interestingly, he's currently obviously a managing director or options executive. But he started his career in sales, and that's something I'll talk a little bit about. And people from recruitment would know what sales means to recruitment. But then after that stint, he moved to be a coach. He moved to be a career architect. And again, a very interesting example, then become an independent HR consultant. He has numerous recognitions with him, being part of the social media influencer list for SHRM, being part of ETHR. Um, and I think he's one of those very few people who have evolved with the market and with the times. While he might have started his recruitment way back in 20 years ago, but today he's the one who's still learning the new techniques. I think he's completed Source Pro certification. He's very active on Mensa, which is the new audio kind of platform. So with that, um, Achyut, formally welcome to this first episode, and I'm glad to have you as a host. Can you just give a little bit perspective about who you are, what you do, and I really would like to hear about your career journey from, I think, a sales to today a career architect and a coach. So yeah, happy to hear from you.
Wow, Sarang, the way you put it, I couldn't have put it better. Okay, lovely to hear the introduction when somebody else put it this way. You know what? I must confess, while it looks so well planned, I think it's all a matter of survival. You should remember that I'll be 60 next year. So I began my career
Wow.
way back, okay, in a world which is totally different from what we are presently seeing. So I think we need to look at it at the context of that, because I started my career much before, say, social media or Google or internet, mobile phone, okay, or even email existed, okay. And so
Yeah.
it's that context that, so if I were to go back again, I grew up in the 70s and 80s when I qualified as an MBA. Those days, it was still the old economy. Okay, India and the pre-licensed Raj. Okay, in those days, you kind of once you picked up a job, you eventually ended up retiring in those jobs. Okay, the good employers were probably the public sector and the banks. Okay, there was no private sector per se. Okay, back in, it was only past 92 when liberalization happened and things started changing. Otherwise, you are all a function of the first job you got. Okay, and so that probably will help you put the context right on what makes me who I am. Okay, because like anybody else, it took me a long time to figure out what I was good at. Okay? I knew what I didn't like doing. Okay, so my choice of and I was not part of those engineering kind of people. I was not those medicine kind of people. I ended up doing the MBA in Bombay, fortunately a premier institute. And even though the choice there, I went in for sales and marketing because that was the most, least formidable ones. Okay, because if I had chosen finance, I had to compete with chartered accountants. If I had to go to operations, I needed to go and compete with engineers. And it used to be called IR at that time, industrial relationships. Okay, and
Yeah.
industrial relations back in 80s was a dreaded career because it meant labor unions and strikes. And
Mm.
so I kind of went. My career path was the least resistant. I went into sales, and I love doing it. And when you're looking back, everything has fallen in place because recruitment, even though it's in the domain of HR, I would think it's sales. I'm selling candidates to companies, and I'm selling companies to candidates. So the reason, okay, so the point was, it took me about 8 years in the industry. I was selling fertilizers, pesticides, auto, automotive sales parts, and believe me, back in 90, it was very difficult to find another job because all the recruiters thought you were good only at selling fertilizers and pesticides and rural selling kind of a thing. And I personally, as a person, loved reading, okay, loved talking in English, loved interacting with people. And no matter how I tried, I never could get jobs in the non-industry. And so one of the reasons which I started options, okay, was to help other people find their calling. Yeah, I thought I was fortunate enough to grow up in a good city, studied one of the best colleges, had good opportunities in career, but then I was driven by the market demand. Okay. And I somehow felt that each one of us is individual and we should be having an inside out kind of a approach to careers. Okay? I'd rather, because it's simple. If I love doing something, I'll do it a lot. If I do it a lot, I'll get good at it and therefore get recognized. And it's cyclical. So my dream was to help other people find their calling. And that's how I got into recruitment. It's about 29. I'll be 30 years in about 6 months' time. So, and the point about you're talking about evolution, it was a Hobson's choice, okay? Because if I didn't evolve, I'd have been extinct by now, okay? And frankly, every 4 or 5 years, there have been significant changes in technology, globalization, and believe me, whatever we knew was irrelevant very soon.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
think I'm delighted that Google is my God. Okay, uh, and social media has been my window to the learning, and it's helped me find and connect to several good people all across the world. So even though I'm based in Hyderabad, I pride myself as a global recruiter, and I love what I do. Okay, it's a great place to be, and I wouldn't trade it with anything else. I mean, a longish answer to a very harmless question, but I guess it puts the context right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think you spoke about the evolution, you spoke about, and I was wanted to ask the next question about, why recruitment and HR. And I think you put it really, subtly there, saying it's a calling, it's a driven thing for you in terms of, getting people to realize, achieving their dreams. So, Achyut, um, and I think it's amazing to learn that you've been in the industry for so long. What are the few things that has changed drastically in last few? I mean, there's so much of talk about digital transformation, and obviously the internet has come in, the recruitment. I mean, people claim it's really changed upside down, but you're someone who's seen, even pre-telephone era, or maybe the telephone era to today, where we're interacting like this way. What are some of the things that drastically has evolved, you think, in last few years? And has that made recruitment little more strategic, or it is become, I mean, as people say that, will be robotized or will be taken over by robots. I mean, what's your take on this, since you have seen really different eras of recruitment, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I think, one of the main things which we should also keep in mind is we've seen more change in the last 30 years, okay, than probably 200 years in the past.
Hmm.
Okay, I mean, and I'll put the context right. We did have a something called revolution kind of a thing, where it was all about the companies were the people who decided who to hire, when to hire, and when to train, and all the opportunity. The career choices were made by the employer. And my father
Correct.
probably joined and retired in the company. I probably worked 10 years in two companies. But today, it's a total paradigm, okay, shift kind of a thing. So primarily, one of the things is if the onus on careers was with the employers in the industrial economy, I saw the first change in early 90s when the information technology came and the life cycle of skills drastically went down. Okay, and only merit made people exist. Okay, so and then if that job hopping became accepted sometime in late 90s, and if you look at the last 15 years, because of the internet and the uh, amazing disruption caused by technology and globalization, today it's all a question of having skills which are relevant. And so the career choice has significantly changed from the employer driving it to the employee driving it today. Okay. And so, I mean, it's a natural thing because all of us are probably known by our names, which our father or parents gave us, and then the career which we take up. Okay. The job is very much part of our identity. And so I feel we all have a opportunity to sign, give a signature tune to what we do and why we do. So that's been the significant change. And recruitment, yes, earlier it was the employee decided, and so people used to have the luxury of rejecting candidates for all kinds of stupid reasons. Okay, you wanted qualification, experience, caste, creed. Okay, even if typos in the resume, okay, you were
Yeah.
rejected, or no, you were rejected because
Oh,
of gaps in your studies, gaps in your no, employment, and
कैंडिडेट्स में वो स्पार्क नहीं है.
the point was, and everybody, the risk was much uh, lesser then because you didn't
Hmm.
know what happened because you joined the company and you retired. Okay, you didn't know what happened to the wrong hires you did not make. Now
Hmm.
everything is more transparent. Okay, so I guess the world has changed, and it's good because as a recruiter, I mean, I've been fortunate to be part of this change. So it's fun now to understand that we need to take decisions based on not just the immediate needs, but also the long term runway. It's been fun. Always loved solving problems. Okay. And uh, like the jigsaw puzzle or the crossword and stuff like that. And today, uh, as a person who has got a ringside view of both the demand and supply, I think the time for a recruiter is the right thing. We have now a lot more impact we can play in our lives and both our clients and the candidates. It's a wonderful space to be now.
Agree. I think there's never been a good time to be a recruiter than today, frankly speaking. The amount of demand, not just for talent, but for recruiters, because I think people have, the companies have realized that you are as good as you are hiring people, and for hiring good people, you need amazing recruiters. So, absolutely, put it that way. Ajit, you've transformed, and you talked about a bit of an evolution of your career. You spoke about how you have seen this industry changing. um I mean, what are the key lessons or learnings that you would think that needs to happen for a recruiter to stay current in the market, since the industry is changing so much? What are some of the things that you have done in past few years? It has really helped you not just to stay current and alive, but also to ride the wave of these new stuff that is coming in. How do you keep yourself abrupt and current in the market? And what are the things, if if the recruiters are watching or HR are watching this, we would like to tell them to maybe do and could definitely help them?
I think there is, yeah, like you said, you alluded to the change, like the rate of change of pace. There's no shortcut to learning. Okay, I mean, and learning, when I talk about, it's not only learning, relearning, unlearning. Okay, because
Mm,
the context changes, the whole thing changes. And fortunately, I'm really delighted to be part of that demographic where we could see all these changes coming up. I mean, today is the best time in the world because you have everything on your fingertips. You have Google, you have technology, amazing amount of access to tools, and believe me, so many tools are so inexpensive that we end up, we are fortunate to have everything in our fingertips, and therefore make the experimentation. Because what is
mm,
experience all about? Experience is all about having to make those mistakes and learn from that. And so I would even say that I probably made more mistakes than most of the other recruiters alive today. Because so many assignments that you've worked on, so many hypotheses that we have looked at, and so it's, so that's, and technology helps you in terms of iterating all that. Okay, and that's the thing. So I would feel that being a lifelong learner is
mm,
definitely one of the things I would always suggest everybody. And fortunately, recruiters, you have that ringside view of both the demand and supply. And you understand that just as anxious as we as job seekers are wanting to have a great break, you'll be surprised how many employers on the other side are equally spend sleepless nights about finding a good person. Okay, and
yeah.
so there is never enough resources or knowledge that is required, and so we have to follow our instincts. We have to follow our heart, and no matter even if all around you are doing a particular thing because that's the right thing to do, I would feel it's our life and we should back our instincts. And uh, that's one thing I would definitely, no matter who says what, it's your life eventually. So if you believe in it, give yourself a chance, take that risk. Not taking the risk is a bigger risk. Okay. And it's never too late to kind of change, you know, career paths and stuff like that. So I think that's one thing. Believe in yourself. Don't follow advice of somebody else until and unless you're sure of what you want to do.
Absolutely. So I think you spoke about being brave, being bold. You spoke about being a lifelong learner. You spoke about doing experiments and changes, and maybe succeeding by failing. I think these are some of the great examples. So, uh, um, Achyut, in your journey of these 20 years or more than that, I guess, what are some of the most celebrated, or what are some of the most proud moments for you has been, if you can share a few of them?
Oh yeah, I mean it's, see, one of the best things is uh, the impact you can create.
Mm,
Okay? And believe me, a lot gets done if you don't worry about who's going to get the credit. Okay, and
yeah.
I've been able to uh, see so many people whose lives have changed because of those split second changes they have made. Or I've been fortunate to be in an industry where people have given me the hearing and at least able to listen and consider. Okay, I can't say an influencer. That's a very, you don't influence people. You probably incite people. You probably
Mm,
engage people and give them a perspective which they are not used to. And so,
correct.
like I already told you, apart from the name, what you do is the biggest impact a person's life. If you're happy as a professional, you're happy as an individual also. And I'm exceedingly happy that I've been able to touch so many thousands, if not a couple of lakhs of people who we've been able to cross paths with. I mean, I'm not talking about only those candidates who have found jobs. A lot of people
Mm,
who have uh, probably got jobs and didn't join. Okay, and I've been able to help them debate with those thoughts. And it's surprisingly, you will see, recruitment is a very funny business because if you meet 100 people, probably only 10 are placeable. Okay, and you end up
mm,
placing only one or two. But 98 people, you are actually able to touch lives of, either giving them the things, I mean, get the clarity kind of a thing. So that is the key thing, the ability to be able to touch lives and allow them to go on their paths. That's priceless. Okay, that's my personal feeling.
correct. Correct, correct. But so actually, that's great. But give us one instance, one specific instance of your life where you felt, oh, this is something I would remember for lifelong for the impact that you would have made, or something that you're really proud of as an HR or recruitment professional.
It's a cliche, like you can't ask a mother which child is the favorite. Okay, but I'm telling you, I mean,
I know,
but
but
yeah,
yeah.
but the point is, I mean, if I were to kind of look at the impact, I would probably want to talk about something which I've done in 2020. Okay, when the
Mhm.
whole world was in a standstill and travel was absolutely zero, and hiring sentiments were absolutely zilch. But you'll be
Yeah.
surprised. I mean, if I were to tell you that, even, I mean, I was fortunate that things fell in place. And just to kind of give the context right, I've been hiring for about 30 years. And for the last 9 years, I've been a solopreneur. Okay, I'm a solo producer.
Mm,
But I'm a very
mm,
strong believer of collaborating with other recruiters who are better than me. Okay, so I'm part of a worldwide recruiter network where I have 500 partners in 41 countries. And this was a time when, despite being in Hyderabad, we could do several uh, mind-blogging stuff. Okay, I'll just give you an
mm,
example.
mm,
The client of mine, Indian client, okay, they were operating in Singapore and they wanted to hire a CEO for Singapore airport. Okay, it has about 3,000 employees of theirs with there, which are blue-collared workers. So all these
mm,
blue-collared workers are essentially Chinese speaking. But because the employer is in Singapore, they wanted a Singapore national, okay, and willing to work with an Indian multinational. Now, would you believe that sitting in Hyderabad, I was able to orchestrate my network to find a Singapore national, Chinese speaking, to work for an Indian multinational company, all without stepping out of my house.
mm.
Okay, and
Wow, that's amazing.
another was an Israeli company which I've been hiring for the last 8 years, and they needed to somebody to a Spanish speaking person in Colombia and Mexico. And sitting in Hyderabad, I was able to pull off this. Okay, in 2020, I mean, that's almost like a miracle. Okay, because there was no world, nobody's traveling. Fortunately, there are tools like video interviews and all that enabling all this. But the fact is, if had somebody had told me that 20 years back as a recruiter, I'd be involved in helping companies find people even without physically meeting them or calling them. I mean, these are things I've never ever dreamt of. So yeah, so I think each is a story because you've the kind of decisions you help companies to decide on. They all have large scale impact. Yeah. I
Correct.
mean, in fact, if I look back, I remember I was very lucky to hire the first employee for Microsoft back in India when they started. And I mean, ironical because it was the first employee they took was a non-IT person. Okay, so a person to head HR and finance, and that person not only worked there for 20 years, grew several
Yeah.
levels, and just last year I got to know that she moved to Google. Okay, so the fact that I was involved in as a part of the ecosystem to impact not just the employee but the company, that's priceless. Okay, so recruiters, we don't celebrate these kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess in that manner, you're truly a global recruiter because sitting in India, if you're able to impact companies outside people, at so many levels, I think that's amazing.
No, I think
I just speak.
it's part of
Yeah,
it's just that the ecosystem has changed. Okay, but then
correct.
when we are prepared, we are lucky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, obviously the luck comes to the people obviously who are prepared and who are brave enough to go that mile, right? Actually, you spoke about people and impact. Who are some of people that you follow or you learn from, and who's been part of this evolution, or people that you worship or idol, uh, from your standpoint?
Oh, again, since I've been looking at 40 years of 84 was the first time I got into industry, which is 36 years now, 37 years. Oh, I've hundreds of people have influenced me, and I think you learn from everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
some you learn from what they do well, and some you learn uh, and wish that you don't adopt such tactics also.
Learning from
But
mistakes. Yeah.
absolutely, I mean, there's been phenomenal. I mean, if I were to go back, so many people. But fortunately, the best thing which has happened in the last 15 years is because of the globalization today
Mm.
and social media. I mean, there are several experts that we can follow online. I've been, like I told you, an early adapter of social media, be it LinkedIn, Twitter, and now Menza. It's kind of connected us to so many extraordinary people. Okay, and
Mm.
believe me, there's no single person whom I admire as much as their qualities. Okay, for every
Mm.
quality, I would probably tell you that there are so many good people who have impacted. So yeah, I mean, be it in recruitment, you look at sourcing. We have different stalwarts. Okay, why? I mean, even sourcing Adda is a amazing initiative by Yusuf Patan and you to create a community. Okay, and by creating a community, when you guys are uh, constantly curating, if not creating content. Okay, now this is a library in itself. Okay, so I mean, so there are n number of examples. Okay, so like I said, sourcing, lot of heroes, recruiting, lot of heroes, assessments, lot of heroes. Okay,
Mm.
and and now with gamification and all that, the amount of information which is available on the internet for free, that is invaluable. Okay, because I remember back in the days when I studied, okay, we had to physically go to a library to get access to a particular book, and we were extremely lucky, that book would have been available. Otherwise, it's the
Yeah.
reference. Okay, but today at the fingertips, you can reach out to people across the world, and this thanks to Google again, amazing repertoire of the data, the knowledge, and easily downloadable. I mean, it's uh, so I don't really think any single person. It's some I learn from probably every day from
Every day.
candidates, and not only people who you find jobs with, people you don't find jobs with. People also, okay.
Yeah, that's great. So, Achut, in the last section, I'm going to do a quick rapid fire. So I'll give you an option, or you just have to say a word. But the main thing is that you're not allowed to think too much. So again, whatever comes back to your mind in a that split second. Okay,
Sure, sure, sure.
you ready?
Give me a minute. Let me gather my wits.
No problem.
Shoot.
Okay, great. So first, LinkedIn or Naukri,
Naukri.
work from home or work from office.
Work from anywhere.
Okay, how do you call this, recruitment or talent acquisition?
Recruitment. It's more than finding or acquisition. It's more of engaging and influencing and
Okay,
enticing. Okay. Recruitment.
perfect. Best recruiting tool, telephone or social media?
Social media, because you can find all the online footprints.
Okay, and last, what is one quality HR professional must possess?
Curiosity.
Okay.
Most people are boxed with certain things because this is the way it's done. I think
Hmm.
it's high time we looked at the context and changed our mindsets and changed our thinking also. Sorry, long answer, but context.
No, no problem. Go open. Okay. And last question is, what is your secret? I mean, what are the tools that are there in your secret sourcing toolbox? Like, what is your secret sauce of hiring or sourcing people?
I think it's Google. No, honestly, because it's no longer about what you know,
Mm,
but uh, it's how curious you are. It's all about asking the right kind of questions. Okay, so the better your questions, the more the answers you get. And I would feel that uh, because I'm coming back from an industry. I mean, I first took a printout when I was 32 years old. Okay, so I've never seen computers till I worked. So for
mm,
me, the ability to access information on the fingertips now is the biggest tool. Okay, I'm agnostic to uh, companies or uh, tools because every 2 3 years they become irrelevant. Okay?
yeah.
But I
And
think now
something new
what
comes
I would
up.
love
Yeah.
to love to see the power of AI and
Hmm.
data analysis, and
Hmm.
I would feel as a recruiter that's going to be the single game changer. Okay. As a cricket fan, okay, would you believe that after watching T20, okay, the amount, I mean, there are data analysts who track, okay, for every ball, there are 60 different parameters which are captured, whether the in
Mm.
swinger, out swinger, the ball is hit in the middle of the bat, on the edge, which side the ball went, was it picked up on the first swoop, second swoop, and based on those kind of parameters, they're able to figure out as soon as a new batsman comes, okay, what kind of ball to bowl to get him out. Okay, so I have I mean, simple thing as a game as cricket and the importance of data analytics there. I think it's a mine for all of us, for recruiters, because today there's so much of data, and I think uh, uh, if I were to change, it was not the telephone or social media. I think the new tool for recruiters is data analysis.
Data, data is new oil. Yeah,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Okay, so great. I think with that future note, Achyut, thank you so much for being part of this first conversation. I loved the way we interacted and the kind of little nuggets and very grassroots level things that you have presented today. I hope this was a good conversation for you.
I'm
And
humbled. I'm humbled that you thought of me as an opening bat. I hope I was not out in the first ball.
oh no, absolutely. This was really fun conversation, and knowing you a little more has definitely helped us to to connect. Achyut, if people wants to reach out to you, what are your digital coordinates?
Yeah, yeah. You can. I'm Googleable. It's Achyut Achyut Menon. So I'm accessible. I mean, it's my business to be accessible. Okay, I'm there on LinkedIn and Twitter, and yeah, and don't find you. All you need to do is follow me on LinkedIn, and I'll haunt you. Okay.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. With that, thank you so much, Achyut, again, being part of this show. And yeah, for everyone, I hope you liked today's session, the first conversation with Achyut. Please follow, like, and share and subscribe to this YouTube channel, as well as this podcast will be available on Spotify. The links will be provided in the description. And yeah, please let us know who else you want to see on this show. And we'll see you next month. Thank you so much, Achyut. Have a
Thank
nice
you for
day.
the opportunity, Sarang.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. Bye bye.
Keep up the great work. Yeah. Bye.